Of the media are getting slammed for pushing a narrative that Border Patrol agents on horseback were using, quote, whips on Haitian migrants crossing the southern border. But that was before they got all of their facts. Several headlines stated agents were holding whips and rounding up and chasing down migrants. Turns out DHS and the Border Patrol say they did not have whips. But of course, it wasn't just headlines that claimed agents were, in fact, using whips. Watch.
Should we be looking at the budget of Department of Homeland Security? Because I was not aware that whips, people had that kind of equipment on them that they could use on humans.
The fact that we are dealing with mainly black migrants and black immigrants and asylum seekers at our border in this kind of way really speaks to the kind of racism, systematic racism that is embedded in that department.
It does smack of a bygone era of slavery, aided by reports of people being beaten, whether with a riding crop or the reins, most likely. You may be drawn to the desperation of the man trying to escape. Others, in the desperation of keeping our borders safe, of what I believe the former president tried to depict as a brown menace at our border.
They are so quick to confirm their own biases, aren't they? Emily, a Border Patrol agent, telling Fox News categorically, we do not carry whips.
Of course they don't. But you know what? Chris Cuomo is right. Those people are desperate. There is desperation there. And where was the media covering it for the last months? Where was the media covering the desperation of those minors who were complaining of sexual assault, who were going to the bathroom in bags, who were crying hysterically, and who could not even lay down full length because they were so on top of each other? Where was the media covering when district attorneys throughout all of the states, the entire country, raised the alarm over the concerns over the lack of background checks there at those emergency shelters? Where was the media covering when people said these human migrants are living in squalid conditions in their own excrement? Only now, if they have issues with equipment, if they have issues with the surge, then we need more funding. We need more coverage. We need more people to listen to law enforcement down there, to local officials down there who have been crying for help from the federal government and from the media for coverage of these desperate humans, yes, and the desperation of the Americans who are trying to enforce the laws and to create a habitable, legal, constitutional, and safe situation for everyone involved.
You know, Emily, you hit the nail on the head, because what you're asking is, what is the measure of our outrage? When do people, just as human beings being put in horrible conditions, trigger us to do the right thing? Do we have to wait until there's a category of people that people might care more about? See, I care about that child who was put over that wall and dropped into America. Remember that?
Yes.
And fortunately, border agents caught that baby. I didn't care that the child was from Central America, Nigeria. It didn't matter to me where he or she came from. Yeah. And I think that measuring our outrage is really important. And it's because we have had it out of control for a while, right? Oh, we only care about this when it tilts this way. It's because of that we ignore the facts of the story. First of all, there should never be a situation where you feel, because of COVID and everything else, you're outnumbered. I mean, when you look at the numbers, they had to bring in squad cars to build a barrier to keep people from coming into the country on Saturday. I mean, look at the reporting by Bill Maloogian. They should never have had to do that. And the whips, let's talk about it. Those images are heartbreaking and unfortunate. Those are split straps. I'm not an equestrian genius, okay? I've ridden a horse. I live in Arizona part of the year. Emily, however, knows her stuff, okay? And they weren't whips. But it's easy to buy into whatever the narrative is and the optics on the screen and in the pictures because they're on horses, and we put the best among us with people in the worst positions. And it does look bad. Take it to 16 Pennsylvania Avenue, would you? Let him know how much it hurts to see this and ask him why they waited this long.
Yeah, and meanwhile, ABC, CNN, CBS, they all just ran with the story.
Well, they were changing lower thirds on the screen today. You were watching it.
Yes,
without
that's exactly
making
right.
a single call, though. You know, they could have picked up the phone and done some reporting. It reminds me of the ivermectin story. Do you remember when Rolling Stones came out with that horrible article suggesting that people were overdosing on horse tranquilizer and gunshot victims weren't being treated. It was false, but they ran with it because in Oklahoma, a state that votes red, it confirmed their narrative.
But I want you to talk about how they changed the words on the bottom of the screen on one of the networks.
Right, that network earlier today changed it from the word whip to using reins in a whipping fashion. And we're precise here with our language piece. That's exactly right. And it said appeared. They changed it exactly to portray what appears on that video rather than pushing that narrative that they have been this whole time, but that we were showing earlier.
But look at that big picture on our big wall. I mean, it is frightening in any regard because these people are so, and Emily used the word desperate. Yeah. Of course they are. Look at what they're willing to go through just to be here. Now, we'll see if Biden becomes Obama and becomes the moniker of deporter-in-chief. We're going to see if he tries to fix an immigration problem that he started by getting rid of people that you see on TV.
By the way,
what about the ones that are fanning out across the country that we don't know about?
Let me get Leo in here, guys. One quick point, Leo. The White House has thrown fuel on this. And the DHS secretary, it's really interesting, Leo, to listen to his change in tone. I want to play that soundbite, and I'll make a quick point and come to you, Leo, on the other end.
Images have come out of Border Patrol agents whipping Haitian immigrants. So my question to you, do you think that's a humane way to treat migrants?
You are assuming facts, if I may say respectfully, you are assuming facts that have not yet been determined. To ensure control of the horse, long reins are used, but we are going to investigate the facts to ensure that the situation is as we understand it to be, and if it's anything different, we will respond accordingly. Any mistreatment or abuse of a migrant is unacceptable, is against Border Patrol policy, training, and our department's values. We are very troubled by what we have seen. I was horrified by what I saw.
Leo, so he changed from saying he didn't see anything unacceptable to now he's horrified. Intervening fact happened between those comments. Jen Psaki at the podium said she was horrified. He used her exact words when asked about it a second time. I'm wondering if the press secretary or the White House picked up the phone and said, hey, get on board with us here, change your tune. Leo.
Oh, you're right, Kaylee, again, because let me tell you right now, the damage has been done. Not only are they playing this card about the whips, they're playing, which drives me nuts, the race card. You hear the slavery argument, and the damage has been done. People have heard it already, even if they make a correction. The damage has been done. The sickening use of the race card when it can be used to ignore the refugee camps, that is the Democratic playbook at its finest. It's sickening. As a civil rights attorney, I find it repulsive. I'm sick of the Democrats playing the race card.
Well, we all can't go to the press briefing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah.
But if we could, maybe we could ask these questions. Because they need to be answered from the president himself.
I would love to hear Leo, for one, asking questions
Yes.
of Jen Psaki or our great journalist, Harris Faulkner, right